my friends. In all my years behind the bench, I've come to realize something that no textbook ever taught me. Justice can be heavy, but mercy has a weight all its own. You see, people think judges spend their lives deciding right from wrong. But what we really do is decide how much mercy the world can bear. And sometimes, that's the hardest part of all. 1. The law and the heart. When I first became a judge, I was determined to be fair. Firm but fair. The law was clear, the rules were written, and I thought, if I follow them perfectly, justice will always prevail. But then one day, I looked into the eyes of a man who changed everything. He was trembling when he stood before me. His clothes were worn, his face tired, and his voice almost a whisper. He said, "Judge, I know I broke the law. But please, I wasn't trying to do wrong." He had stolen food from a market, not out of greed, but out of hunger. He said, "My kids hadn't eaten in 2 days." The law told me one thing. My heart told me another. That day, I dismissed the case. But as he left, I felt something inside me shift. I realized that justice isn't about punishing what's broken, it's about helping what's hurting. That was the day I began to understand the weight of mercy. 2. The mistake I'll never forget. But I'll be honest with you, I didn't always get it right. There was a time early in my career when a young man stood before me. He had a long record: parking violations, petty theft, unpaid tickets. I was tired that day. I looked at his record and thought, this man doesn't learn. I fined him heavily. No leniency. No questions. Just the law. A few months later, I received a letter. It was from his mother. She wrote, "Judge, I'm not asking you to change your ruling. I just wanted you to know, my son passed away last week. He struggled with addiction. He wasn't bad, he was lost. And you were the last person who spoke to him in court." That letter hit me like a punch to the heart. I sat at my desk for hours, reading it over and over again. That day, I learned something the hard way. When we choose judgment without understanding, we may win the law, but we lose a soul. Mercy, I realized, is not weakness. It's wisdom. Point 3. Mercy does not excuse, it heals. Some people think mercy means letting people off easy. But mercy doesn't erase responsibility, it transforms it. When you show someone mercy, you remind them they're still worth saving. And that, my friends, is what changes people. I remember once, a father came before me, guilty of multiple parking fines. He was broke. His voice cracked as he said, "Judge, I didn't come here to ask for forgiveness. I came to explain. My wife has cancer. All my money goes to her treatments. I'll pay what I can." Now, I could have demanded full payment. The law allowed it. But I thought about how powerless he must have felt, watching the person he loves most suffer, while the world keeps demanding more from him. So I said, "Sir, your debt today is not money, it's love. Take care of your wife." Case dismissed. He broke down crying. He said, "Judge, you don't know what that means to me." But I did. Because mercy isn't about money, it's about restoring hope. 4. The lesson my father taught me. My father was a gentle man. He used to say, "Son, don't ever let the robe make you forget the heart underneath it." He told me a story once about a boy in our neighborhood who broke a window. The neighbors wanted punishment, but my father made the boy help fix it instead, not because he wanted him to pay for what he did, but because he wanted him to learn. He said, "If you only punish the mistake, the boy learns to fear. But if you teach him, he learns to grow." That's the essence of mercy, not ignoring wrong, but guiding it toward right. Every time I'm about to deliver a verdict, I still hear my father's voice. And I ask myself, am I here to teach, or to scare? Because justice without mercy is cold. And mercy without justice is blind. But together, they form humanity. 5. The prison of anger. Sometimes mercy isn't about others, it's about freeing ourselves. I once met a man who came to court angry. He'd been wronged years ago and never let it go. He wanted revenge, not justice. He said, "Judge, I don't care what happens. I just want him to pay." I asked, "And if he does, will you finally be at peace?" He paused, then said quietly, "I don't know." I told him, "Son, anger is a prison. Mercy is the key." He didn't understand then. But a few months later he came back. He said, "Judge, I forgave him. I didn't do it for him. I did it for me." That man walked out lighter than when he came in. Because forgiveness doesn't change the past, it changes the future. 6. The courtroom of life. I've always believed that every one of us is both a judge and a defendant in the courtroom of life. We judge others, sometimes too quickly. We judge ourselves, often too harshly. But God, the greatest judge of all, shows us mercy every day. He sees our flaws, our failures, our hidden struggles, and still gives us another sunrise, another chance, another breath. If He can forgive us daily, how can we refuse to forgive each other? Mercy is not about letting go of the law. It's about living by a higher law. The law of compassion. Point 7. The power of a second chance. One afternoon, a teenage boy came into court for reckless driving. He was nervous, cocky, and scared all at once. He said, "Judge, I made a mistake, but I swear I'll never do it again." I believed him. So instead of a harsh penalty, I gave him community service. I said, "I'm giving you a second chance. Don't waste it." Years later, I received a letter from that same boy. He wrote, "Judge, I kept my promise. I finished law school. I'm working to help young people avoid the same mistakes I made." That's the power of mercy. When you give someone a second chance, you might just change the direction of their life. 8. When the judge needs mercy too. There are moments when even I, the judge, need forgiveness. Times I've said the wrong thing, made the wrong call, or carried pride instead of patience. And every time, life humbles me. Once, an elderly woman came into court for a small fine. I was distracted, rushing, and I spoke to her curtly. Later that night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking, you had a chance to show kindness, and you missed it. The next day, I called her back. I apologized. She smiled and said, "Judge, that was mercy too, owning your mistake." That's when I learned, mercy flows both ways. It's not something we give when we're strong. It's something we share when we're human. 9. The invisible battles. Behind every crime, every mistake, every act of anger, there's always an invisible story. People fight battles we'll never see: addiction, grief, poverty, loneliness. Mercy means looking beyond the act and asking, "What pain lives here?" I once had a man who came before me for shouting at an officer. He was rude, aggressive, and unapologetic. But something in his voice told me this was more than anger. I spoke with him privately. He broke down. His son had died 2 weeks earlier. He hadn't even processed it. That day, I dismissed the charge, not because he was innocent, but because he was broken. Sometimes the world doesn't need another rule. It needs a little room to breathe. 10. Mercy as a legacy. As I grow older, I realize that mercy leaves a legacy. People won't always remember your verdicts, but they'll remember how you made them feel. Years after a case ends, someone might still recall a moment of kindness you gave them when they didn't deserve it. That's the real power of mercy. It plants seeds that grow long after we're gone. Maybe that's why I still do what I do, not to uphold the law, but to uphold the love that makes the law worth following. 11. What the world needs. The world today is hungry, not for punishment, but for mercy. Everywhere you look, people are divided, by race, by belief, by anger. We demand justice, but we forget compassion. We demand truth, but we forget tenderness. But mercy is the bridge that can bring us back together. Because mercy doesn't mean weakness. It means strength under control. It means choosing love when hate is easier. It means giving when you could take. If we practice mercy the way we practice rules, the world would heal faster than we ever imagined. 12. The final reflection. My friends, I've lived long enough to see that justice without mercy is cold. But mercy without justice is chaos. And yet, when the two walk hand in hand, they give birth to something divine, humanity itself. Mercy is not about forgetting wrongs. It's about remembering that behind every wrong is a human being. And every human being has a chance to change. I've seen hardened hearts soften with one kind word. I've seen tears of shame turn into tears of gratitude. I've seen the miracle of mercy, and it's the most powerful thing I've ever witnessed. So wherever you are, whatever your role, be a judge of mercy. Show compassion when others show contempt. Choose forgiveness when others choose fury. Because in the end, it's not the gavel that defines us. It's the grace we give. And one day, when we stand before the greatest judge of all, he won't ask how many rules we enforced, but how many lives we touched with mercy. So let us walk lightly, love deeply, and forgive freely. Because justice may build order, but only mercy builds peace.